So we are recording, so.
Okay, I will I'll call the roll here. I'm Cinda and I'm here, and Will.
Hi, Cinda. Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Okay. Jennifer?
Here.
Okay. Angelica's not here yet. Joan is not going to be here. Nancy's not here, but Donna is, right? Donna is here. Okay. So that's it for who's here at the moment. Leslie is here, Jason's here, and maybe Allison's coming later.
No, Allison, but we've got Angelica on the line here. Hi, Angelica.
Hi.
Okay, there we go.
Hi, Angelica.
All right, so item 1 is approval of minutes. I'm assuming you all received the minutes which were emailed. Does anyone have an addition or correction? If not, then the minutes stand approved as mailed. Number 2 is correspondence and communication. Jason, is there any?
I don't think so.
All right. Call to the public, and I don't see any public. So we're moving on to old business, which says none. And okay, new business. Jason, you're on.
Okay, so I just want to spend some time talking about our reopening plans and getting some feedback on what you all think. Okay. Donna did send, thank you, Donna, for Phoenix, their phased restoration of in-building visits. And actually, just today we started library by appointment. So, you know, that's on our way. We've had 2 people sign up. So it's new, and we just started advertising it. So we'll see how that works. We've got 2 people signed up for tomorrow. And I did have some people call that they more wanted to just, they were visitors. They wanted to look around the library. So yeah, I kind of want to open this up for discussion amongst you guys and see what you think in terms of, you know, further reopening to the point of, you know, opening our doors and maybe just controlling the amount of people in here. My thought of it is that, you know, people have not come in here for a year, so it's not like we're going to unlock our doors and then we're going to have a rush of people come in and the whole town will be in here. You know, we've actually have to, you know, invite people back in and, you know, make us a part of their lives again. So I'm really not worried about throngs of people. If anything, it's the visitors who would be, you know, coming in by the hordes probably. But yeah, can I just hear some feedback for what you guys think?
Well, I think if you do, when you do open up within the next few weeks after that, you will have throngs of people who will want to see all the things you have done in the library. Mm-hmm. Done so much work in that year that we don't have even any idea of what it really is that you've done.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think a lot of locals will be very, very, very excited to go into the library. So maybe I'm sure that you have some kind of plan of how many people you'll allow in.
Yeah, I actually was going by what Donna sent me, what the Phoenix Public Library is doing. And, you know, they have their phases of reopening is at, you know, they do it at like 25% capacity. And then, you know, they will move that up to 50% capacity. And I guess I like that idea just because it's, you know, it's a gradual, see, here's the thing, I guess, because we still don't know, you know, the state of this pandemic. Is it ever going to go away? Do we have to learn to live with it, you know, for the time being? There's so many ifs and like what ifs and unknowns. And and there's always the disclaimer that, you know, if things were to change again, we may roll back and you know, have to go back to just curbside. So, right. So Angelica, I think we would move towards just determining what a safe amount of people in here would be. And obviously, you know, the computers, we would just have only a few open so we could keep people spaced out. And, you know, we wouldn't be moving into in-person programs. You know, this would just be more of, you know, slowly kind of bringing back some of the things that, you know, first of all, opening the doors would be bringing back the library. Does anyone else have any comments?
Well, I'm not confused. I'm wondering what your capacity is that you do 25% of.
That's a good question. So yeah, I think we would look at, you know, I guess we would just kind of put people, you know, if one person was here and one person was there, and kind of fill the space. And if those people were spread out, you know, I know that's actually a really good question. And Cinda, I would like to, I'm going to reach out to Amity at the county library to see, I've been reaching out to her and just in terms of seeing what they're doing. And right now they're little branches, the rural branches, I shouldn't call them little. The rural branches are opening up by appointment, and I think Bowie is leaving, allowing patrons to come in. So, right, I guess the first step would be to determine what is our capacity.
I would think that 20 people in the library, assuming they weren't all clumped together, it
right.
wouldn't be crowded.
Right.
Well,
yeah, I think it's just maintaining that safe distance as long as everyone is able to do that. And again, and like making sure that, you know, the computers, people that are using the computers, we might have to limit their time on it, just to keep, you know, some more people can access them, because there'll be that, you know, there'll probably be only 3 computers open upstairs just to keep people, you know, distanced.
But they're not really clumps. You don't have clumps or groups of people in the library. People tend not to get next to each other, except where they have to be. Yeah, and except if there's 6 of them checking out, and that's seldom. But
I think we're.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point, Will. And I think we're at the point where we're used to, you know, we'll put X's down on the floor. You know, I think we're used to being at the supermarket and having that space and giving people that space. Obviously, we would require masks.
Absolutely.
Sure.
You'd probably still do the curbside pickup arrangement for held books?
Absolutely. I think that's going to stick around for as long as people want it, because that is a really easy way for people. There's going to be some people that don't want to, you know, come inside. They're not going to want to be around people, and that's a perfect yes. We would.
It's
keep
working well, I think.
It's working. It's working really well. We've had such a great response to that, and you know, we do. That table is mostly, you know, on Courier Day, it is full of bags. So we would definitely keep doing that as an option for people.
You know, Jason, I have a couple of thoughts on that. I mean, first of all, that the information that I sent you from the Phoenix Public Library relates to the Phoenix Public Library. It's a different animal. It's a different staffing level. But I thought it would be interesting for you to see kind of what they had thought through. I think that your whole team deserves, like Angelica had made a comment, a huge pat on the back for all the work that you've done during this pandemic to not only make the library a better place for when it reopens, but to stay connected with the community. So I think you've done a lot of the legwork, you know, and people may decide that they want to stay more remote, but I think because of how much everybody in Bisbee loves the library, the residents, I think you're going to see people wanting to come in and see what's going on. So my first comment would be that I think the paramount importance is that you and your staff feel safe, right? So that becomes, and that safety is based on number of people in the libraries or systems that you set up. Everyone on your team needs to feel that they are in a safe place and that their health is protected.
Absolutely. That's a great point.
The second thing I would do is, the one thing that I think is a good idea from the Phoenix Library is sort of timed visits, because there are certainly people that want to come in and look for books, but my sense is people want to come in and they want to use the computers. They want to use the technology that they have in the library that they may not have in their home. Right. So having that in a timed fashion and by reservation makes a lot of sense. And, my point to my last point would be not that we want to be unwelcoming, by no means, but I would think that residents would take priority over visitors at this point. Like, the library really is for the community. And of course we want, we bought a home in Bisbee, honestly, because I thought the library was so cool. That was one of our things. But, I'm kind of an odd duck. I don't think I'm like most people. I'm like a big nerdy reader, right? So that's the only thing I would just monitor that, because if we, we want to take care of locals, we want to take care of children, we want to take care of people that are used to using the services of the library that may not have an access to a printer or a computer, or they're looking for a job, or they're whatever. They just need to get in that library. So I think that should take priority.
Right. Well, that's
no, wait a minute. What is it that visitors do? Are they different when they visit the library?
Think if there's only so many people that can be in there at once, that's my only thing. Like, if Jason determines, or if they determine that only 20 people can be in the library at once, and there's 15 visitors that want to come in, that's why we have a reservation system, or try to make locals a priority, is what I would say.
I think 20 people are a lot of people in the library at this point.
Oh.
Yeah,
for the people who work there. And, the other comment I have is, do not keep the papers outside, so people still read the papers outside, not inside the library, because we are getting into the warmer weather, and people can sit on the patio and read the papers. They don't need to be in the library to read the papers, for example.
Right. And that's working really good right now, because our weather is at the point where it's comfortable to sit on that balcony. And I've gotten such great feedback on that. And it's a great place to sit. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think back. I mean, my gosh, it's been a year, but busy times of the library, and how many people, are in here at one time. And usually it's just when we have programs, and maybe that, that after work rush, it's, I think 20 people in here is not, I don't think we would expect that many once we first reopen. Yes, when people got used to it, and yeah, we may get more people in here, but the other thing I was thinking is maybe, and I think the Phoenix is setting up like this, maybe have a chunk of time in the morning for people to make these half-hour appointments, and to be in here without the general public being in here. If they're comfortable with that, maybe keep 2 hours for those people that can be in here by themselves and feel safe, and then, and then open it to the public for the rest of the day, and then control the amount of people in here.
Well, I think
that would solve a lot of problems.
You could start even with 5 people for 1 week and see how that feels. Yes. And if that feels fine, then go to 10 people and see how that feels. Like Donna said, let's make sure that the people who work at the library feel comfortable.
Right. And then
nobody else, we've all gotten used to getting our books on the balcony. So, I don't mind just going in once to check out all the new stuff that you've done and continue having you put out books for me. That's okay.
And I think a lot of people are going to want to stick with that. And there are people who genuinely miss browsing the stacks, and we've talked about this, Angelica. It's different from looking at the library computer online catalog, and so I think some people will definitely be excited for that.
But you don't want to have 5 people stand in front of the new books.
Right.
See? And that can happen. I mean, I've been there before when, especially after a year of not being able to look at the books, that I can see people walking in and they're going to beeline right to the new books and take that time.
Well, but we've all been doing this COVID thing for a year now, and we know what it's like to be inside with some other people. You kind of deal with that. People don't come in and forget their, I can, this is a safe place for me to forget about all the stuff I've been doing up to now.
That's what you think, Will.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, what about the idea of it's starting after the appointment thing is over and you're opening more broadly, just telling people they've got a half hour or something like that, so that it keeps moving and other people can come?
Just right. And to maybe reiterate, just be mindful of the time, and it's like maybe, right. It's not like there's not lounging around and reading magazines all day. It's kind of, come in and take care of your business, until we get used to it or until things get better. I'm liking this conversation, and it makes sense to me. And this would be a conversation. We do have a new city manager, Steve Pauken, and I'm going to be meeting with him this week. So I definitely want to get his feedback. The city still has their city hall still closed to the public, and their meetings are still online. So, this is, this conversation that we're having is just, getting us set up for the next phase. I don't know when it will be, but I definitely want your support and, your feedback for this. But I do, personally speaking, I want to move forward in some capacity. And I think, and we are with this, starting the library by appointment, and, we'll get used to this and do this for a little bit, and then, move on to the next phase, which would be, to allow a certain amount of people in here.
And maybe have people come and look at some books first before you open the computers.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah, it's, and
we're all space up there. And even if you have 3 computers open, that's really small up there.
Yeah.
Well, if you only had maybe 3 computers spread apart of all of the ones that you have,
that would definitely it'd be like 3. It'd be 1 on each end of that. It's, our tables are kind of set up like a T. And yes, for sure, that would be, and they would be pretty, a time. They would be giving a certain amount of time that they could use those computers.
They could maybe reserve by phone from home.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Any other ideas, comments?
Yeah. What about families? If they want to come in with their children.
So that's what we're doing with the library by appointment. We are allowing, like a parent and small children to come in. I had one young mother our first library by appointment. And she was just so excited to be back in. And I do like that idea of, because kids, that whole parent and child looking for books is important,
Yes.
more than a parent going in and just picking out books for their kid, that have the kid involved. So yes, I that would be, right now we are allowing that. But then it was like today, a visitor called and said, oh, can 4 people come in and just look around the library? And I was like, well, this is our first day, and we're kind of we're trying to get our patrons back into, we're really not comfortable with 4 people coming in.
Yeah, and we're not Disneyland and no looky-loos.
And they understood, it is a new thing. I mean, if this were, if we were doing this for a while, we'd be more used to it. But like you all are saying, like, we have to be comfortable. And we are, I've talked to my staff, and I think we all agree that we've got to move forward and be smart about it and be very careful about it. And also following, what the other libraries in the county are doing. And so, and everyone is moving in the same direction. So
Sierra Vista too?
Sierra Vista is actually, their city government had them open with no restrictions and no,
Wow.
They're open as if, as they were before the pandemic hit. So
Yeah, don't go there.
and I did talk to someone over there, and it's going fine for them. It's just, talk about diving into the deep end. I mean, that was. I'd like to step in to the pool first.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, that really is, I'll speak to our city manager and get his feedback of it, and talk to the staff more. I've had a few people email me that really want the library back open, and I understand. I really do, and trying to explain like all the things we're doing in lieu of being open, and sometimes that works for people, and sometimes that's just not enough. So there has to be a little bit of a happy medium there.
Yeah, but life isn't normal.
No.
Life is not normal.
No. Isn't that the truth?
Well, you've made that reading room so inviting that I think people are just lusting to come in and plop down on the couch.
It's
important to not offer magazines or newspapers at this point, because people will definitely use that.
Yeah, and like you said, that's working outside right now. We will have good weather here. The balconies are nicely shaded, so from here on out, we're in good shape for outside, and it's getting a lot of use. It actually makes me happy. All right, anyone else? Actually, Leslie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have any feedback, just in terms of, because you work with the health department, and do you have anything that you would provide us?
I support a gradual reopening. I think that limiting the number of people who go in is a good idea, and I support Angelica when she says limiting the newspapers and keeping them out on the balcony. I think that's a good idea. And I liked only having about 3 computers open at a time, because I think people tend to congregate up there. I think you've all had really good suggestions.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anything. Or
are you planning to mandate masks in the building? That was my question.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good
that makes everyone more comfortable with masks on, and we have boxes of disposable masks. If someone comes without one or forgets one, we will have them to give them.
Okay, perfect.
And
that would be my one thing, just to have masks. Yeah.
And just one question. And it's probably stupid. The elevators are going to be open, aren't they, for people who have trouble on the stairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean, because
right.
you kind of got to, right? There's this law.
Yeah.
Probably also only by appointment, because otherwise you'll have these people going into the elevator in the front and just all of a sudden standing in the middle of the library.
Yeah. We've been. That's a good point, and we'll have to figure that out. But it's a necessity to have.
You can go back to having it just go to the second floor and not the third floor.
Yeah.
Temporarily.
Right.
But still, I can just see 5 visitors getting into the elevator, and all of a sudden, there they are, right by the circulation desk.
Yeah. We need a bouncer.
You mean somebody who can identify a visitor from a local?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can manage. I think
I do too.
It's also, going by the assumption that people will be reasonable and understanding, and that's not always the case either.
No.
But as far as our Bisbee patrons, they are. Our patrons have been really understanding and very appreciative, actually, with the measures of, as sad as it is to see the building closed. We've gotten really great feedback of just, what we're offering and how we're offering it. So yeah, Bisbee's been great. Absolutely.
We're just so happy you're there, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we. Absolutely. And we've learned over the years how to interact, waving through the windows and having brief conversations. And
right.
I gotta hand it to Bisbee. It's a good crew for sure.
Very good.
Yeah. So if no one else has any other comments, I appreciate all your feedback. And I'll keep you updated on what's next.
Okay.
So the rest, I won't drag this on, but I've got just an update on some of the other things that are happening. Statistically, we are doing good with our curbside pickup. We're averaging about 2,500 checkouts a month,
Really?
which all things considered is really good.
Yeah, that's good.
We've gotten, this is a funny statistic that, everyone's learned how to, not everyone, but a lot of people have learned how to use the online catalog. There are these little good things that have happened throughout the year. And it's by necessity, right? People want their books. They're going to finally learn how to place a hold. And by golly, they have. I think I was looking back at some previous years and say like over this three-month period, this quarter we're in, there might have been 700 holds placed in that 3-month period. And now we're like, again, I think we're at like 3,000 holds placed. So
wow.
They have definitely, we have learned how to do that.
A lot of them mind. Yeah.
And obviously all the e-content has been, again, it's like out of necessity, people have learned how to download their ebooks, and that has really jumped statistically as well.
And Canopy is quite a delight.
And Canopy, our new digital streaming sponsored by the Friends of the Copper Queen Library. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's a spectacular collection of films. Has anyone used it? Cinda, you've used it?
Yep, I've watched a couple on it. Yeah.
Angelica, have you checked it out?
No, I haven't had the time yet. But
okay.
Thank you for sending me that email, because
Absolutely.
I didn't even know what my library card was, because I only have that one from March Rodriguez that has like a number of 845.
Don't you ever give that up. That's at this point. So Canopy, it's a streaming service for libraries and schools, and it's a very curated, very library-esque collection of films. A lot of world cinema, a lot of independent films, a lot of documentaries. They've got the great courses on there, and my favorite thing is there's a kids portal which has oodles of story times. Families can, in addition to children's movies as well, but these story times are really, really great. And they animate the art that's in the children's book to tell this story. And we've gotten a really great response from it. So I've wanted it for a really long time, and the friends have been so supportive of our programs, and they like the idea as well. So yeah, we've actually gotten, I think all of our bases covered. If we got ebooks, e-audiobooks, digital magazines, and now a digital streaming for movies. So that has definitely filled a void for a lot of people. And then
Jason, a question.
Yeah.
In a recent newsletter, you had you listed a whole bunch of movies that have Bisbee somewhere in the movie or about Bisbee.
Yeah.
Now, is Canopy something where you could go and say, well, let me find out if stuff like this is on there, or do you?
You could. A lot of those are pretty localized movies, and let's just call them cult classics. They're all the movies that were filmed in Bisbee over the years, and they may not meet the criteria for Canopy to put on, but
okay.
We have those, Will, in DVDs if you're interested.
I've heard of DVDs. Thanks.
But yeah, some of those are pretty. They're very Bisbee.
Okay.
Very Bisbee.
All right. Thank you.
And then some other, let's say staffing wise, we did list our early literacy coordinator position is now listed. So if you know anyone who has experience with children and early childhood education, it's posted now, and it's posted until the position is filled. So we're excited to get that position back on library staff, especially because we are planning summer reading, and that person is pretty integral for doing that. Other staffing, we're all doing well. We've so thankful for our jobs, and doing the best we can to keep everyone happy. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of doing that. Programming wise, I just want to mention. What's that?
I said you're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Program wise, we do have some cool things going on. Another kids related passive program that they can do from home is Dial a Story. And we got this through a little mini grant with the Arizona State Library. So people can call and listen to a story on the telephone. And there's a new story added each week, and there's a story in English and a story in Spanish. So each of those are available. And just a really fun, again, kind of filling that void of not having our weekly story time, and just being able to do it from the comfort of your own home 24/7. It's always there. And we actually have the option and opportunity to record our own stories. So we're going to be looking into doing that. And especially with summer reading, we want to get some of our teen patrons to write some stories and record them for that. So definitely a lot of possibilities there.
Can I have a question
as far as,
yeah. Are you reaching out to the Spanish-speaking part of the community? Because
we've got we've got Joan, who's not here this evening. Joan is our library advocate for going out into the community, and she spends so much time volunteering out in San Jose specifically, and in Naco. So yes, she is definitely doing that, and as well as Canopy too. She's been really spreading the word on that. I know, right? That's the hardest thing, is to get people to know what we're doing. And that's for sure. She's such a huge help with that. And then as far as summer reading is going, we're going to do, we're going to stick with our mailing subscription. We just ordered, I think, we ordered $2,000 worth of books. So our participants will get a book a week again. And this is co-sponsored by Freeport McMoran, and actually a private donation of someone who Freeport is tight on money, as everyone else is, and someone actually came in and added money to our coffers to be able to do that. So we worked with Scholastic again. They've got amazing prices on books, and we could not do it without that, because we're a Scholastic partner, and we get special pricing for them. So, and then we're gonna mix that in with some outside programs in June and July. We're going to kick off, the theme of this year's summer reading is Tales and Tales. So animal tales and story tales. So we kind of get to be creative and see what we can come up with. We're going to kick off with an outdoor pet parade.
Fun.
We're working with the Bisbee Animal Shelter. They're going to be involved with that pet parade, and we're also working with them. We're going to have a collection of books. Actually, that's what these are here. So we're going to have a Read to Shelter Animals program. So what this entails is that a parent and child can make an appointment. They call the shelter, make an appointment to go in, and a child can practice their reading in front of an animal, which is actually they're great for both the kid and the animal, because most animals don't, excluding my cat, they don't judge you, right? So if you're reading and you stutter over some words, or they're not going to know, and it's just getting that practice of reading out loud, and then of course it helps socialize these animals. So there's a really this is another thing sponsored by the Friends of the Library, but really great just pet books, everything, and from this. There's for lunch. This is my cat. And books about, books about shelter animals and adopting animals. So we're really excited about this, and we met with the animal shelter down there. If anyone's been in there, it's as tiny as tiny can be. And there was room enough for this long, skinny shelf that we're gonna keep those books. Those books will live there and be for that purpose. So
that's
been
really
great.
cool.
Yeah, they're really excited to
that's
be
really
a
neat.
part of
They're
this.
probably
So,
hoping that some of those animals will go home with those
well,
little
Yeah.
you know what happens when a kid goes to the animal shelter? They usually leave with them. So. So it's really exciting. I've got some Spanish books on the way too, so it'll be a mix, and people will just choose a book that they're comfortable with, and we'll see what happens.
I wanted to put in a good word for your Zoom programming that you've got on YouTube, right?
Yes. Thank you, Cinda. Yes. So. So again, this year has been, we've started archiving our Zoom programs and putting them on the YouTube channel. And it just made us realize this is something that we've always wanted to do when we had in-person programs. because people can access it anytime they want and rewatch it. So actually, the day that we do go back to in-person programming, we will be filming them and archiving them the same way that we're doing with the Zoom ones. And we have gotten really good feedback on that. And it's just, it is. Our presenters and presentations are just so good that they are worthy of being archived. Thank you for mentioning that, Cinda. And then as far as, I just want to update you on a few of the grants that we've got going. So the building assessment grant from Shippo, we had our team of architects and engineers. They were down last month and they performed their autopsy of the building. And I just heard back from the lead architect that they've got all their information and they are now compiling it into a report. So when I do get that, I will share that with you all. And what's going to happen is they will have all the things that need to be addressed with the building. And they will have a priority list of what should get done first and an estimated price of how much it would cost and recommendations of how they would do it. And then the next step would be to go out and find more grants to get all that work done. So one of the first things we're thinking about is addressing the third floor balcony. You know, again, COVID has, you know, outside is the place to be. And, you know, for the most part, except winter, I find it extremely cold. And Angelica, I know you have my back on this. The balconies are freezing in the winter.
Bond on that one.
But, you know, for the rest of the year, it is really nice. So we know that the third floor balcony railings are too low for the public to go out there. And this report will give us the guidance we need to address that in a very mindful manner so as not to disturb the historical importance of the way the building looks. So we would actually, I think we want to write a grant to Freeport to see, that would be the first thing that maybe we would tackle. And it would just be a really easy sell because we would actually be expanding our space that, you know, for the public to use. So that's what's going on with that. And the other really cool thing about that grant is they had a small team of historians down here who are actually going to put together sort of a cultural and social history of the library. Wow. So I think that's really neat too.
Very well, cool.
Yeah. The other big grant we're working on is the E-rate, and that's the federal program to get heavily discounted internet services for the library. And what that really entails, the short story of that is I've applied to the federal government and we're just awaiting our word of if they will fund it or not. But we would be able to get increase our internet speeds up to a whole gigabyte. Right now, I think we're at probably 200 megabytes. So a really huge increase. And the federal government would discount it 90%. So we actually would only pay 10% of that bill. And that bill would normally be about $650 a month for a whole gigabyte. And that means that we would only be paying $60 a month for that speed. So it's a huge boon for just our internet speeds. That means our wireless would be that much faster out in the balcony. And so we're awaiting word on that. And that discount is actually, just for your knowledge, is based on the school's lunch program. It's just kind of a snapshot of just the economic state of Bisbee and the families that live here. and you know what families qualify for free or reduced lunches at school, and that actually we're that high where we get the maximum amount of discount, which is 90%. So, and then the other grant that is worth talking about is our preschool patio grant that we're going to be building a preschool patio out behind where our library annex is on the Bisbee Unified School District property. So we had received a $25,000 grant from the Arizona Community Foundation. And I've got a $16,000 grant in with the Arizona State Library. I should be hearing back soon. And we actually got private donations of $20,000 to build. Yeah. I mean,
it'll be a fancy patio.
It's going to be a very fancy patio. But the thing is, things are expensive. So it's actually going to take all that money to do this. And really just the gist of it is it's a very long, it's about 30 feet wide and about, maybe 100 feet long. So we want to divide and make it very versatile. And part of it would be a more enclosed area where we could do preschool programs with shade. And then we would move into a regular patio area with tables and umbrellas, and move into another area that would be something as a soft material on the ground where we could do outdoor yoga classes and kids movement class and adult movement class. So actually we're working with a local architect. Her name is Valeria Palma, and she, I will send the plans out via email. Just so you guys can take a look at what we're envisioning. And it's going to be quite the project. It's kind of one of those long range projects, and we're working with we're going to be working with Step Up Bisbee, and we're going to have volunteer days, and we want to work with the homeless shelter, the Verhouse House. And just make this a really community building project. So, and we want to work in phases in the way that the patio is designed. You know, we can work on one section and then move on to the next. So it's going to be very cool. And again, it's like that outdoor space is always going to be the safest, and it will also allow for a public space for that neighborhood that they can use it as well. So those are my exciting grant opportunities. So I think, let's see. I think I've covered about everything that I need to cover. Does anyone have any questions or?
Jason,
I have a question. Oh,
go ahead, Will.
I was going to say I have a question. In our email correspondence about the meeting this last week, I felt like I got my knuckles cracked with a ruler from Miss Nina Williams. I thought, what have I been doing wrong?
Well, with city commissions and boards, there's this open meeting law, and
right, yeah,
it's
that I understand, but I don't know how that.
Actually, I bet you, Leslie, do you know more about this than we do?
Well, I've had to go through a lot of open meeting law training.
Okay.
So I can try to explain. And it's basically all that it means is that a quorum can't communicate with each other outside of an official meeting. So if Nina is sending an email to the entire group, you can't hit reply all, because that would be like polling the commission outside of an official meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. It doesn't make, the kind of sense that, that we usually deal with in our minds, I think, logically. And of course it makes sense. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be.
I think her point, no, it's a good question, Will, because it is confusing because it's like when you reply, I guess you're only supposed to hit not reply all, because then you're including the entire group, and then you're almost having a meeting, even if it's just like, hey, I'll be there at that meeting.
Yeah, but
so,
why isn't, when you send out that, why isn't that the same deal?
Right.
If you send an email to all those people, why isn't it just, hasn't the line been crossed at that very moment?
That's a good question.
Well, it has to do with, like, Jason is staff, so he could address the whole commission, but it's people who are voting members on the commission can't address the entire commission. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you're staff, that you can do it. If you're peons like other people,
you're right,
yeah.
And I can email you, like when I email out that assessment report or the plans for the patio. That's me informing you all, but you can't start talking about it on the email and be like, oh, this is great or this is not great. That's where you would break open meeting law. You would have to wait for the next meeting, or just talk one-on-one with someone else. Yeah, it's very. I just know that it's bad.
It's not a problem for us to adhere to those laws. It's just that for me, it didn't make sense that, well, we haven't passed over the threshold yet, but we could in a minute, and there we go.
Yeah.
It was like there was a logical, but since you're staff, I now know that staff is good. 2 legs is bad. 2 legs is good. 4 legs is bad. Yeah.
You got That's it,
right.
Will.
Funny. Anyone else? Any comments?
Yeah, I have a question, and it's about the status of the senior center using part of the San Jose annex.
So that turned into something bigger than we ever. What happened? We talked to the senior center about taking over some of their programs and doing them at the annex, and it turned into the senior center is moving into the annex, which they're not. But that was we're not open there yet, so that was another issue. That the senior center has been doing their programs this whole time, but that was the senior center is they've got some issues with their building that they have to work out, and they were looking at different options, and one of them was to use that space for some of their programs, and we would roll that in and come out as a joint library and senior center collaboration. So nothing is happening right now, and the senior center is just looking at their options right now, and they've got a new board president, and I met with her. Actually, I took her on a tour of the whole annex space, and if they were interested in seeing if there's a space there as well, that they would get in touch with the school superintendent. We've got no control over the space, nor do we want it. That the school district does own that property, and that would be up to them if they were interested in doing something like that. So in the meantime, we're supporting the senior center, and I have a plug coming up in one of our newsletters, and I'm helping them put all their events onto the City of Bisbee community calendar, and just to get more of the word out. I think the more people that get involved with the center, the better off they're going to be.
Because they're going to have to leave their building, right? Isn't that pretty definite?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. And, that's the city's going to have to decide, if that's something that they can help with. The city does own that building, but the senior center is run by an association, so that it's a group of seniors, and they have their own board. So yeah, that's something that they're going to have to work out.
Okay.
I have a question about the annex.
Yeah.
So you're going to open the library up at downtown Old Bisbee, but are you doing anything in the annex?
So right now we have Fridays curbside pickup, and we do have some people out there that utilize that, but unfortunately we lost a lot of our families that were using that space, and you know, the science lab is out there, and they're going through the same thing of how do we reach people. So Angelica, I think when we do go into a opening in some capacity here, we'll probably start by opening up on Fridays there and have people come in. I don't think, we could open the doors and we wouldn't have to worry about throngs of people coming in. I think it would be a very easy transition. Mm-hmm. So I think we would open up in some capacity there, and maybe just starting with one day of the week and see how that goes.
Yeah, it's just hard to reach out to families, I think.
It is. That's what we learned this whole time. It's the adults are really easy to reach out to and to get to participate in curbside pickup in our virtual programs, but kids have been really difficult. I get it. It's with all the schooling issues and going to school on Zoom, no one wants to do a Zoom story hour. Uh-huh. We tried that and we just could not get people to participate. And so we are actually, I should have mentioned this under programs, but we are going to be doing some outdoor story times coming up here, with especially with summer reading coming up. We're going to be, and we thought that, we'll hop around different parks in Bisbee and families can meet out there, and we'll do a story time and have the craft bags. And, I think we can get back into that for sure. We need to.
Good.
Anyone else?
No. So that's
all
the
right.
end of the new business?
That's the end.
Okay. Then for the good of the order, we're going to have meetings July, October, and that's it. Gosh, the year is going fast already.
Year's over.
Holy moly. Okay. In that case, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any nays? Anybody want to stay here the rest of the evening?
No. Yeah, Jason does, I'm sure.
Oh, shucks.
Hey, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate
thank you.
Conversation.
Thank you. You're the best. Thanks, you guys.
And yeah, thank you all for joining. You all have a good night.
Stay healthy, and you guys watch yourself tomorrow, 420, okay?
Oh. You too, Will.
On the balcony.
Oh,
Good night, you guys.
Good night.